Sorry. All right. So it's been a couple weeks since we've had like old man Eric tries to understand new slang.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's a word. I feel like there's a few episodes that start this way. There's a word that really chaps my ass. That really gets on the old tits.
Chap? Okay.
Chaps my ass. You never heard that expression?
All right, get some ass chap.
Some ass.
Chastic.
I really don't want chapstick on my ass. This would be a really good Blistex commercial. Here's some chapstick for your ass. Blistex.
Oh my God, the images. Oh, they're flooding in. Go away. Anyway.
So, have you heard people use the word thirsty?
And like when they want something to drink.
See, that's the way it's supposed to be used.
I had a feeling it wasn't.
It's not.
Yep.
So I decided for the fun of this I keep hearing people go, oh man, she's so thirsty, or hey man, he's so thirsty, and I was like, what the fuck? What is that? I was like, are they meaning like he's horny? Like they're horny and they're trying to get chicks? And yeah, apparently that's what it means. So I went on to Urban Dictionary, and there's like 20 fucking different things for it.
Seems like there's 20 definitions of everything on Urban Dictionary.
Oh, of course.
People just find...
Just to be fair, it takes to number 16 for you to find the one where it says your throat becomes dry and you need something to drink. So I had to filter through 15 different ones before I got to that one.
Okay.
But number 15 is especially descriptive. Thirsty. To want ass dick so bad that one would go to the extreme to get said ass dick. Ass/dick, just for clarification.
Oh, okay.
Usually the non-contagious disease of thirst is found in females, but it can also be found in men. Thirsty men are known to masturbate a lot. Those are all in capitals. Those this disease is not contagious, do not, and I say do not, all capitals, interact with any thirsty bitches/man whores.
So it's another word for libido.
It's another word for like, yeah, I guess so. But the thing that gets me about it is could there be a more disgusting word for someone who wants to have sex?
It's pretty gross.
Like, let me quench my thirst with...
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's some lines there that are being crossed, and I understand it's not your normal person that would say something like this, but I've seen it a lot. Like,
I just try to ignore the collection of people in our society who say stuff remark about like women passing in front of them in public, or like.
Well, the thing is, it's not just men to women; it's also women to men. It could be either way.
Well, either way is equally disgusting. Yeah. So. Like thirsty for dick.
Like, could you imagine? Like, okay, so it's already bad enough. Like, if you're hanging out with your buddy and you're like, dude, what's going on with you, man? You just seem like you're in a really bad mood. Dude, I'm just so horny lately. Like, that would be like, whoa, okay, that's a little. Well, it's more information than I need. But if he was to be like,
it's like,
but could you imagine if he was like, man, I'm just so thirsty, and you're like, what?
Like that's supposed to be better?
Yeah. It just sounds to me like you're only going to quench your satisfaction with fluids.
That's what I'm saying. I just like, I generally avoid, like the closest I've come to people like that, or like at like working in retail and like just being with people who I would not normally associate with because they're work in the same place as me. So I've run into people who are like, oh, I gotta get some puss, man. This weekend I gotta get some puss or something. Like I gotta lay down the sheets, or I don't fucking know. And I'm just like,
you're struggling to try to come up with one.
Right? Yeah. I'm not well versed in that nomenclature.
Let me take a dash of that gash or something.
Yeah, and usually I just sit there and go, man,
sure.
No, I'm not the one to talk to you about this. Like,
well, it's just one more reason that I can definitely feel old, and I'm super glad I'm not single, because fuck that. So he was like, man, you met that chick yet? She's super thirsty.
Like, there's a way to talk. Like, I'm trying to think about
electrolytes.
I'm trying to think about how I would approach it. Like, I would just be like, hey man, well, I don't know.
Just turn and walk away. Just turn and walk away.
Welcome to episode 29 of the Unreasonably Angry podcast. My name is Eric. I mean, what the fuck? Welcome to episode 29 of the Unreasonably Angry podcast. My name is Gary.
My name is Eric.
And how are you fuckers doing this week? It has been a strange couple of weeks.
Yeah.
It's been a strange summer.
It's been dude, if you include like people being dickheads and then like natural disasters.
the earth being a dickhead.
Yeah, right? I mean,
we have let's count it down. Did it start with hurricanes?
Harvey?
Hurricanes and fires simultaneously.
Yeah, I think Harvey was first, right?
Yeah, which are both
they
still
go in
going
alphabetical
on.
order. So Harvey, then Irma, then Maria.
Yeah, and we have all of the fires in Northern California right now.
And SoCal.
We had the ones, I don't know if they're still going on in Oregon, Montana.
Canada had some
Washington,
that were affecting us up here. Mexico City's earthquake.
And then we had a mass shooting. We have a giant head of a movie studio. Have a lot of allegations of...
Who's a big fat pervert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how to
diplomatically.
I don't know how to say it like politically correctly.
Why? I mean, he was clearly not being politically
And
correct.
we're not here to joke about it. It's an awful,
absolutely
awful thing.
not.
Of course. But it's just weird. It's like when you have like, I mean, I think when stuff like that is like, I guess uncovered is the way you put it, like out in the open, exposed. Then it's unfortunately, sadly, it's like to somewhat of a degree, people aren't surprised, and that's really sad.
Yeah,
like it's kind of like not that we're not surprised, but it's easy to imagine.
And
that's really sad.
The thing about that is, though, if you think about it, it's the reason that we're not getting as much shock and awe from it is because a lot of people knew about it for a really long time.
Yeah.
So
yeah, there are things
first
that are
time
coming
that came
up.
out. You know what I mean? The first time, it's kind of like our friend who backed his car into the pole. That guy. If the first time somebody tells you that, like, Dan, I ran into the pole, you're like, fucking hell, really, dude? What the hell? If they did it 6 or 7 times.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, yeah, that sounds about right. Like, this guy had been doing this dirty shit allegedly. Let's just go through allegedly out there, even though it's pretty clear what happened.
Yeah.
This guy had been doing this for the better part of 25 years or some crazy shit like that. And there are people coming out of the woodwork from fucking way back.
Jeez.
I mean, for me, it's just it's more as disgusting as what he did is. I'm not as disappointed, but I'm also very disappointed by how many people knew or had an idea that never did anything about it. Like, that's the fucked up part.
Well, it's like it's one of those like systems. You know, it's like a system. Like, it's like if you rat him out, then your career is over or whatever, or like he like finds a way to destroy you, or like it's like it's all like a power.
No, and I get that completely. Now I understand if you're one of those people. Now let me preface this
the way that it's,
yes. Let me preface this by saying I am not saying anybody who did report any of those things are nearly as bad as what he did. Obviously, what he did is by far the worst. He's the villain in the scenario.
Of course.
Just to be clear. Well, yeah, but like, well, it sounds to me like you're no, fuck that. It's gross. It's disgusting what he did. What's also disappointing is that I go, okay, if you're close to someone and they're continually doing something that's borderline inappropriate or vastly inappropriate, somewhere down the line you're probably going to catch on, right? If you're friends with someone for 30 years,
you mean if you're not one of those people? Yeah. If you're just like,
if you're friends with this guy,
yeah.
Like I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a more perceptive person. Like, it just seems to me that if somebody kept disappearing with random young chicks, like just randomly. I mean, you'd think he never made a joke about jerking off into a bush to anybody. I mean, like, it seems to me like somebody who's down with stuff like that and is like high on his own power probably bragged about it to somebody, right? Yeah. Like, you don't do that kind of stuff to, like, he's not shaming himself. He's okay with it. So one of the things that I heard was that there was like some actress that he like cornered and like wouldn't let her out and like jerked off into a bush, and then like I think Bill Burr talked with on his podcast, and then like message her the next day to say I had a nice night. Like, that's the level of like crazy fuckery this guy was involved in. So it'd be really surprising to me to hear that he never told anybody, oh, guess what I did? Oh, you know that actress? Oh, yeah, well, I jerked off in front of her. You tell me that never happened? I find that really fucking hard to believe.
Yeah.
Like, hey, my point
I just
is,
find it sad that, like,
of course,
that any, like, Hollywood or whatever, that there's any system in place that has someone in that, like, position of so much power that they can basically do anything they want without any repercussions.
Yeah, and
like that's fucking.
I'm trying to remember who it was. Oh, Courtney Love. So I saw a little video clip of from way back where she was like, don't go to any parties with Harvey Weinstein, and apparently she got blacklisted from some stuff.
Yeah.
So that's the thing is like you wonder, like, how did nobody say anything? And then you wonder how many people did start to say something and had their career ruined, or how many people did say something and they were never given a proper voice. Obviously, we didn't have Twitter when this was first going on. You know, we didn't have Facebook, we didn't have Instagram, those kind of things. But then you have people even nowadays, like Terry Crews came out and he said that even recently he was sexually harassed by somebody in Hollywood, a male, like, executive for one of these companies.
Yeah. Like,
apparently grabbed his crotch at, like, a Christmas party. And the fucked up part to me is that some people are actually attacking him for bringing that story out right now because they feel like he's trying to take attention away from, like, the women who were involved. And it's like, no, he's saying that even if that could happen to someone like him, that when you're thinking that guy would just snap your neck, I mean, he's a giant dude.
Yeah.
Then it could happen to anybody else. You know, I mean, it could happen to anybody.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing that's fucked up is you look at all these things and you look back, and I'm watching all these videos and these GIFs and these compilations of things where you go, holy shit, this person was trying to tell someone. Corey Feldman. You know who Corey Feldman is?
No.
Okay, so Corey Feldman, he was a child actor in the 80s and 90s. You know who he is if you saw him.
Okay.
But he was in Stand By Me. He was in The Goonies.
Okay.
Mouth. He was the one with the glasses in Stand By Me with that burnt ear.
Sure, yeah.
So Corey Feldman, he and Corey Haim used to work together a lot. It was the Coreys. Like in the late 80s, early 90s, it was the Coreys. Like they were in License to Drive together. A couple other crazy movies.
Okay.
So they were like inseparable. He was on, somebody showed this old interview that he did on The View back when Barbara Walters was on there. Mm-hmm. And he actually said during that interview that like there were multiple pedophiles in Hollywood that like got to him and Corey. And that part of the reason Corey Haim had such a hard time later in life before he died, and I think he committed suicide, was because of the stuff that he went through as a kid. And he's sitting there telling people like on the show, like, hey, there are people in Hollywood, there are big people that have been involved in these things that you guys would be shocked to hear about. And then Barbara Walters kind of says some line like, well, you're just willing to take down the entire industry, or like kind of like passing it off, kind of like, well, you know, you're just kind of speaking out of turn. It's like, no, these are important things. Yeah. And then he ends the interview with like, he's like, and they said something like, who would you ever? He goes, you know, the one person who never touched me was Michael Jackson. As crazy as that sounds. And it was just weird to go back and see these videos that have been on the internet for years that people just kind of like shrugged off. And it's like, how many people could we have prevented this happening to had we paid attention to anybody who talked about it years ago?
Well, we've known about this stuff in Hollywood for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, like Judy Garland, like it's been like half a century we've known about stuff like this, or longer. So like, I guess that's the reason why it's not like a surprise, but that's ridiculous. Like I want to live in a society where something like that is a surprise. Like,
I think that's the part.
I don't want to live in a society where like we're just like, oh yeah, okay, there's another guy who assaulted a bunch of people.
Yeah,
like,
the fucked up thing is if you think about all the ties that Harvey Weinstein had, right? Of course, the people immediately go to the people that were buddy with him, actors that worked with him, people who came up in Miramax and things like that. I know Ben Affleck and Matt Damon have been catching some heat for different things. Then some chick tried to accuse George Clooney of I don't know, was it like harassment on the set of ER and like just all these crazy like offshoots. Like it's just been this crazy spider web of like accusations that have gone down this last week, and it's really crazy to see. But the part that bothers me the most really about all this, aside from the stuff that actually happened, like of course that's the part that makes you the most mad. But the other part is like people are coming out and saying things now, right? And it's easier to come out and say things once somebody's already broken the ice, right? Like it's easier to come out and say, hey, this thing happened. That's really horrible. This happened to me too. But it's like for this many people to be coming out now means to me that either they were afraid to come out before, they weren't willing to sacrifice. Now, I know it's hard to give up your career. I get that. but there were people that weren't willing to stand up for these people and hear their story and go shout from the mountaintops years ago. So it's not just that I'm upset at the thing that happened. I'm upset about the people that it happened to. But if you told me, hey, Eric, this horrible thing happened to me, and I'm like, well, hey, dude, it's really fucked up, and I'm really sorry, but I can't say anything about it. I have a career. You know what I mean? Like, so it's not just that person's career that they were afraid of ruining. So if something did happen to Courtney Love, right? Or I think Angelina Jolie said that Harvey Weinstein like harassed her, assaulted her back in the day. So not only is she afraid to say anything because she's afraid she's going to lose her career, that anybody in her inner circle that she told and said, hey, this thing happened.
It's not just about career.
No, what I'm saying is, well, so part of it is...
There's a lot more that goes into that.
Sure. There's libel, there's being sued, there's all kinds of shit that can go down.
Well, I'm thinking mostly psychological and emotional. That's a huge part of it too.
Sure.
I mean, saying to the entire world that this happened to me, that's a big deal.
No, yeah.
Like,
okay, so I want to like, okay, so like I said...
No, I don't mean to like say that you're not thinking about that. I'm just saying I'm making it like...
Yeah. Well, obviously my thought is that person's, that goes without saying. Like I figure, and it shouldn't go without saying, but it does, that person's going through a lot physically, emotionally, mentally. Like, how did this happen? Why did this happen?
Right.
It's a different mentality when that happens. Like I can't relate to that.
You're definitely right about people who aren't victims but know that it's happening.
And that's what I was thinking. Like that's the part that actually makes me mad. The part that it happened to them makes me really sad.
And keeping it like this, if it's awful, but like it's like a status quo, and people just don't want to change it because it's like the way it is or whatever.
Well, and that's my point. Like, yeah, that's exactly my point. It's really easy for people.
This isn't the way it should be.
Yeah. It's really easy for, and I don't mean people in the industry, but people as a whole to point at it now and go, "Oh, this is really fucked up." Well, this happened too. I knew about this. And it's like, okay, well, where were all the people when Angelina Jolie, like her inner circle, that said, "Hey, this terrible thing happened to me." There's no way she told zero people, and then in that group of people, nobody thought, hey, you know what? Maybe she's afraid to come out. Maybe she's not strong enough right now to say something, but somebody needs to.
Right.
So to me, it's like it's not just this shitty thing that happened, and the fact that the person that it happened to is living in fear of what could happen to them if they say anything.
Yeah.
But then the people on top of that know about it that were afraid to say anything, that just fucking pisses me off.
It's like a cult.
Yeah, it's like a fucking cult.
Yeah. It's like Scientology.
Yeah, and the thing is if you're one of those people that comes out and they're not happy that you say something, they fucking blacklist you. You can't work anymore. You can't.
Yeah.
I mean, and not to mention other things that can happen. We don't even know if there's anything beyond just stealing work from you.
Right.
I mean, there could be physical ramifications. There could be actual life threats, things like that. I mean, it's a fucking. I know this is not our normal topic for the podcast, but it's one of those things that, like, the more I thought about it, the more I heard about it this week, the more I got angry about different things. I mean, it's already sad enough and fucked up enough that people have to go through sexual assault and pedophilia and rape and those kind of things. But to think that we live in a world where those kind of things can happen that long by a single or a group of perpetrators, and that people aren't there to defend each other, really fucking riles me up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Whew.
It's sad. I'm just really sad about it. I'm angry about it, but I'm sad about it too. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, and it's like it's like we're just forgetting, like we're just starting to forget that Bill Cosby is still on trial, and that's still going on. Yeah. Like I mean, all the allegations came out, but he's still like in the, what's going on right now?
Because it was a lot, right? It was a lot of different people. It wasn't just like one or two. It was a lot.
So did he like get charged for all of those counts at once, or is it like different and they bring them all in at different times?
Well, I guess it would depend if it was like a class action lawsuit or something where people like came together and filed one big lawsuit. Maybe. Yeah. If they wanted to do it individually, they could. I don't really know what the statute of limitations on something for criminal charges would be. Like if he did something 25 years ago, I don't know how they would criminally charge him, or if it's a civil suit. And then a lot of times, if you've noticed, a lot of these things kind of go under the radar and they kind of disappear because people get paid off. Like that's what happens. Yeah. Now, I don't know where Bill Cosby is in life, where, he's concerned about his image anymore. And so, well,
that's the joke. Like so even if he goes to prison, like he'll be in there for 5 years before he dies.
No, I mean, so OJ's out.
Yeah. But I mean, OJ wasn't like in his 80s when he murdered.
No, I'm just saying. So if he got out for what most people agree is a double murder,
it's ridiculous. There's so many like public figures where like it's weird like how society reacts differently, like either depending on what they did or who they are. Like Bill Cosby was different than Harvey because like everyone was like, oh God, I grew up with his comedy, like, and that was happening then, like while I was enjoying his comedy, like this was happening. And it's like, do I not listen to his comedy anymore? Do I not like say I'm a fan of his?
Watch the Cosby Show anymore?
Do I not watch
eat Jell-O?
Right. And it's not like we're gonna go like, and it's not like we're gonna go. Do we not watch Weinstein Company movies now? Like we're still.
Well,
like,
no, somebody will. Somebody will do that. Somebody will try to go that route and go, oh, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna boycott Miramax. There's no fucking way. Like there's no fucking way to do that.
No.
So the thing is, not only that you're punishing everybody else who didn't be a prick. And I think, okay, again, I'm not making light of what he did by calling him a prick or an asshole or laughing at him being a piece of shit. Understand that, but it's in the sake of making it nice and short. Calling him a prick's the easiest way to go. To punish everybody else that works for Miramax, the beautiful movies that have come out, because Miramax has made a lot of really good movies. Yeah. To say I'm not going to watch any more of those because Weinstein's a fucking dickhole. It's like, well, if we're going to do that, then we realistically can't do anything ever. Well, yeah, with anything.
There's a thing about him winning the Oscar for
Good Will Hunting.
Was that it?
I think they got one for that, didn't they?
And Shakespeare in Love was the one I heard.
Oh, about. Best Picture, yeah.
But like they threw him out of the MPAA.
Yeah.
Right, and then like they're taking his Oscar away, but the producers still keep theirs, or like.
I don't know, and I love
that
how
all
people
seems kind of like arbitrary. Like,
well, that's the other thing is I love how people go, "We're gonna take his Oscar." Oh, okay. Like, so Bill Cosby... we're gonna just delete the thought in our head that person won that thing. So you've taken the physical object, but it's not like
there's a repo man that comes to his house. And
no, there might be actually though.
Yeah.
Because that happened when Reggie Bush got his Heisman taken away. They actually take the Heisman back.
Yeah.
But the thing is, in your head, you still know Reggie Bush won the Heisman.
Right.
Like Harvey Weinstein still won a fucking Oscar.
Like, did they take Bill Cosby's honorary doctorate away?
I have no fucking idea.
Yeah, that part seems kind of.
No, it's like, are you putting him in jail? No. Okay, his reputation's ruined. Yes. Is he doing anything to like make amends, to apologize, to work? I mean, Harvey Weinstein went to rehab. Is it sex rehab that he's going to?
It was sexy rehab.
So is it? Did you say sexy rehab?
No.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my God, that's awful.
Like when you walk in, there's like fucking softcore porno.
Let's
music.
not even go there. No, he went to sex rehab in like Europe, in like Germany or something. It's just really
in
weird.
Germany?
Yeah, I feel like it wouldn't be that effective in Germany.
I was gonna say immediately when I think of Germany, I think of Wandersex, which
Okay, we're getting in some weird territory.
No, fuck that. We have to be able to turn this into something we can like. We have to make funnies at some point. Like we've covered the seriousness of it. We've covered
yes,
that.
Yeah.
If you're upset now that we're making jokes about it, then you're listening to the wrong fucking podcast.
Oh my God, I've started listening to Harmontown. Speaking of other podcasts, and the places he goes are just like.
Well, and that's the thing is I feel like there are times where
it's in front of a live audience, so it's like, yeah.
Well, I think there's definitely been times in this podcast, even now, and we're still relatively young. It's our 29th episode.
Yeah.
So as we go, there's going to be a point where we're going to start going. You know what? I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna fucking go there because to me it's funny, and if it's not funny to you, you can turn it off. But at the end of the day. How we get through tragedies, how we get through horrible things is to make a way for us to process them. And sometimes it means making jokes about it.
Yeah.
Now, does it mean it's okay to make jokes about the shooting that happened in Vegas? No. But if you're saying, hey, this horrible thing happened, let me find a way to make fun of something in that so that every time I think about it doesn't make me fucking horribly miserable. Yeah. You know what I mean? Those are different things. Now, I'm not making fun of any of the actions that he did, but I can still make fun of him as a person for being a piece of shit.
Right.
So that's kind of the line that I draw.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking of other public figures.
Well, but we've talked about that a little bit before, where it's like if you like someone,
yeah, we talked about Bill.
You're kind of like, oh, all right, well, it's not such a big deal, or well, that's really sucky. But then you're like, are you done? Like, is that person on your shit list? Because sometimes if you don't like that person, they're just done for good. Like people kind of did that to Mel Gibson. We talked about that.
I already didn't like him.
So yeah,
it's like yeah.
And
then there's books and like cartoons and stuff that are like that were racist when they came out. Like they're racist now.
Yeah, like yeah. So you go, okay, so that was an important part of my childhood, or important show, or an important book. But then you're like, oh, am I not allowed to enjoy it anymore?
I went right to racism just because it's like the one big thing.
Well, because that's the thing is, I think
that's usually the thing. Like when something like grows old,
Yeah.
like an old piece of like a cartoon or something. Like
Yeah.
What was that Disney movie that
Song of the South.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was about a slave?
Zippity Doodah. Yeah, it's Zippity Doodah in the movie. There was this, basically it's a slave and he's singing a song about how wonderful the day is. And it's basically how insensitive it is for a slave to be singing happy songs. Yes.
Yeah. Although they sang spirituals to keep
Power
spirits
through.
up, not
Yeah.
to be like, I'm feeling okay.
Yeah,
There's a difference.
I don't see.
There's a clear difference between singing like, "Oh, my life's great," or like,
Yeah.
"Oh man, my life is awful," but I'm just gonna sing to get through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I like Zippity Doodah.
yeah,
Like when I'm waiting for Splash Mountain, I love it. But I think I get that that's the reason people get pissed. Because they're like, this is like the suffering that people went through, and you're singing it as you're waiting for a roller coaster at Disneyland. Yeah, I get it. I get it. But at the same time, it's like, where's the fucking line? Are we just going to get to a point where we're not allowed to do anything that's old because at some point someone down the line used it in an inappropriate way? Like I just read this shit about the Dr. Seuss. Did you hear about that?
Oh, no.
Okay, so Dr. Seuss apparently he had drawn some racially stereotypical, racially...
That's not surprising. When did most of his books come out?
Fucking way back in the day. I don't fucking know the years, but they're fucking old, dude.
Yeah.
So people are like, "Oh, well, did you know that he was racist?" And so now his books mean
It's not
what?
surprising.
Well, I'm like, I can't
Again,
just.
there it is again. Not surprising.
Yeah, well,
why am I not surprised by children author being racist?
Well, the thing is, it's like, are we just, every time something happens, are we just supposed to say, okay, that we don't enjoy it anymore? Are you supposed to say you don't enjoy it? If you do still enjoy it, are you some sort of like a Nazi sympathizer?
Or do you go like, when Timmy is old enough, you go, Timmy, people used to be racist.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is
they're generally not as much anymore, but they used to be.
Well, I would like to come back to that point. But there was, so apparently Melanoma Trump, she,
oh my God.
I'm sorry, but it's just in my head now. So she apparently tried to donate some books to a library in Massachusetts. There were 10 books and they were like Dr. Seuss books. But the librarian, some weird fucking name, Phipps, her name's like Phipps, Liz Phipps or some shit like that. She turned the books down and said that she would recommend some other books for the Trumps to donate to the school and hope that they could see that through these books that the things that they did, like their policies, that Donald Trump's policies directly affect these kids, blah, blah, blah. My first reaction was like, okay, Melania Trump isn't Donald Trump. They're not her policies. So this is going to be a sidestep. People get really mad at Melania for not doing enough because she's not Michelle Obama. She's not, right? She's not. They get mad at her.
I realized the other day that I don't even think I know what her voice sounds like.
That's what, you know how I feel about it. I don't give a flying fuck. Like she's the first lady. That's great that she does extra things, but she didn't get voted in. The fucking president did.
Right.
So her job is not to be the fucking president or to impress me. Her job is to be whatever her fucking job is. That's not important to me at all.
But regardless, she's a public figure.
She's a public figure. So my thought is okay, somewhere between Laura Bush and Michelle Obama. Okay, Laura Bush, when I see her, I just think classy lady, handle herself really, really well. Michelle Obama, very vocal, very outspoken, does lots of things, worked with the kids. Yeah. So I'm not expecting her to be either of those two, but that's kind of where I just kind of see her in the middle. I just kind of go, okay, as long as you don't make an ass out of yourself, you don't say wild racist shit or, poo-poo things. And for the most part, I feel like she's trying to stay below the firing line because her husband's out there saying wild shit constantly. So
it seems like the entire family is that way.
Trying to stay out of the way?
Yeah, just kind of like...
I would be. I mean, if your dad was a fucking crazy
he's the
person.
talker, and they're the doers behind the scenes. Yeah. And
so, I mean, we talked about her getting ripped for her shoes when she's getting on a plane. I was like, okay, if that's really what's important to you, then go for it. But she tried to donate these books, which in my head, I go, that's a good thing to do. She's trying to donate books to kids to read.
Okay.
So this person got all worked up about it, and no, we're not going to take your books. So then I think to myself, I'm like, okay, well, why? And she goes, well, because Dr. Seuss was, he's racist. Some of the things he's did were racist, and some of his books are basically racial mockery. That if I ran a zoo was racist.
And
All
she's
these wild
probably saying that because of it was Melania Trump.
And that's my thought. I go, okay, is she saying that because she believes this, or is she saying this because Trump's wife did it and it would get her some fucking kudos from the left for going, oh yeah, you showed her. I went back and looked at it. 2015, Michelle Obama's reading Dr. Seuss books in the fucking White House to kids.
Oh yeah.
Barack Obama had no problem with Dr. Seuss. On top of that, this fucking librarian dressed up as Cat in the Hat like 2 years ago.
Oh, okay. Well, that's hypocritical.
You're so full of shit. Are you kidding me? I don't... If you have opinions on the Trumps, fine. If you want to say Donald Trump's an asshole, fine. If you truly believe that Dr. Seuss was racist, fine. But to me, this seems like an opportunistic person who took something that should have just been a nice gesture and made it a big fucking deal for no reason.
That's the political climate right now.
It's so fucking annoying.
It's theatrical. It's not actually about any real issues. It's just theater.
Let's just find a way to turn everything into a divisive topic.
Right, yeah.
But that sucks. That sucks so hard.
Yes, it does.
It's that thought, right, I don't know. So I was thinking about that and I was going, okay, so that's pretty annoying. Am I just not supposed to I mean, and the thing is, I don't give a fuck. I'm still going to read Dr. Seuss to my kids. If they take green eggs and ham and that makes them go out and get a fucking Nazi flag and start goose stepping down the street, we have a problem. But the bottom line is, it's probably not going to happen because if you teach kids things the right way, even if something enters their brain that's probably not appropriate, if you handle it the right way, they're not going to be little assholes.
We've talked about this before. If you start drawing lines in I'm not going to read Dr. Seuss because he's racist.
Yeah.
I'm not going to watch Looney Tunes because it's racist. I'm not going to watch some Disney movies because they're racist, like Pocahontas or whatever, or Mulan. Is Mulan racist?
I'm sure to someone
probably.
The way
they speak English.
The way I always took Mulan was that was a girl who was strong who whipped a bunch of ass. So I never looked at it and went,
but that's what I'm saying is if you're going to start drawing lines, then where's the line drawing gonna
end?
Where do you if you stop consuming any racist media or any media that was produced by a sex offender or any comedy that was written by a sex offender or any music that was written by a pedophile, then there's nothing left. The world's shitty. The world's shitty and
Jesus, there's nothing.
No, that's not. That's pretty cynical. But I mean,
no, I get your point.
There are shitty people in the world.
There's going to be shitty people everywhere.
And they're a shitty person made your hamburger, shitty person made your movie or the music you're listening to, the book you're reading. It sucks, but I guess what we can do about it is try to take a sledgehammer to those systems where you have people in positions of power that take advantage of people, and you go, no, this isn't okay. I want to consume stuff that's not made by these people.
Well,
I don't want this to be.
Well, there's that fucking Louis C.K. bit, the of course, but maybe, and he kind of covers that. And one of the things he talks about is how people, it kind of ties into one of the opinions that I have on a lot of things, is how you always read about these people who, I don't use this because of this, and I don't do this because of this, I don't shop at Walmart because of this, and I don't shop at Amazon because of this, and you're typing this from your iPhone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's one of the jokes he makes, is we have this fucking power in our hand because some fucking people in a country thousands of miles away are jumping off roofs because the fucking conditions are so shitty, but we don't think about that as long as it's something that we're okay with getting rid of. If you're hey, I don't have any kids, and I'm not going to be around children anymore, so I never have to read Dr. Seuss, that's really easy. Right? If you're I don't like the taste of hamburgers anyway, let me go on a rampage about how the way that we process meat in this country is blah, blah, blah. But it's a lot harder to give up something that's actually difficult for you to give up on your life. But the problem for me is do we get in that line? And you and I have covered this before. I gave up this, so that's okay that I do this one. Or do you go, all bad things that have some sort of bad thing are now gone? Because if you do that, you're going to have to live in a fucking paper bag underneath the bridge somewhere. Unless you're willing to do that, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And even that bridge was probably built on human suffering, so fuck off.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
But you brought up Looney Tunes.
Uh-huh.
Do you remember what Looney Tunes did a few years back?
No.
So Looney Tunes went and they released their entire collection. They the vault of Looney Tunes classics, right? And when they did that, they were like, okay, some of the fucking cartoons that we have are borderline racist or stereotypical, right?
Yeah.
So Pepe Le Pew, the little French skunk, what's his face? Speedy Gonzalez. You know, I mean, they're
Even
like,
just his name.
huh?
Even just his name.
Yeah, it's fucking, we look at it now and go, it's probably racist.
Yeah.
But the thing is instead of going, hey, we're not going to show these cartoons anymore, they had, like, I think it was Whoopi Goldberg is like on the DVD collection. There's like a scene in the beginning where she's like introducing them. And she goes, these cartoons, well, like now we look back on it, we realize that some of the things were racially insensitive, but we think it would be incorrect and inappropriate for us to not have them in our vault anymore because they existed.
Yeah.
Like they still happened. Like these cartoons were still loved by people, even though we look at them now and go, hey, there were problems with that. There were things that were wrong. To just not have them anymore would be to just try to like erase history.
Yeah.
Which is fucking bullshit.
Well, yeah. Like what I said about like everything you produce is like made by shitty people.
Yeah.
Like that goes back,
Forever.
thousands of years.
Yes.
Like Mozart was a shit person. like you just keep going. Like it doesn't.
Well, no, yeah, you're right.
I think it's more like I think it's like we should tackle social issues in a social climate, in like a social environment.
Yeah,
like
not a political one.
Right.
Yeah.
Like we shouldn't like tackle like social issues in the world of art and like books and cartoons and stuff. We should take it out of that, be like, this person is a shit person. He did this shitty thing. Like Dr. Seuss cheated on his wife while she was dying of cancer and all of that stuff. Look it up.
Yeah.
But we can go, at the same time, we can go, he made these children's books that I read while I was a kid. And I'm
taught
reading
me
them,
how to read.
And I'm reading them to my kid.
Yeah.
And I don't have to open the book with my kid and be like, hey, did you know that the author of this book is blah, 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 blah? And the kid goes, what? You don't have to do that.
No.
You can just not do that. You can just read the book. Like,
I can already hear like somebody listening to this going, yeah, well, it's really easy for a straight white guy. I can hear it. It's like, you guys don't know what it's like. I get that. Okay. There are certain things that I don't get or I don't understand. But at the same time, if we're being honest with ourselves, does every single thing need to come with a backstory of who wrote it, when, where, why?
Yeah.
This guy didn't wipe his ass and didn't want to shake people's hands, or he didn't wash his hands in the bathroom. I mean, there's certain things that are like, okay, well, what do you want me to do about it?
Can we just take a minute to just bask in the lovely fact that Mr. Rogers and like Bob Ross and like all of those guys, they aren't pedophiles. Like that never came out. Like we can think good about some people. Like we don't have to just like
little happy trees.
Just coming off of the cynical end of the spectrum, I just wanted to come back and go like, Mr. Rogers was a pretty cool guy.
Yes.
And like, he made me feel good about being special and like blah, blah, blah. And he wasn't a pedophile.
Yeah. And he introduced the world to cardigans.
Yeah. And Bob Ross to Chew Froze.
Yeah, exactly. Froze amazing. Speaking of which, have you ever gotten stoned and watched Bob Ross paint? If you haven't, you should.
Oh, I that's something I've yet to do. I should do that.
It's a very relaxing experience.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's really funny that you mentioned like the shitty people and like the things now, because this last week was, well, what used to be Columbus Day and is now Indigenous Peoples Day.
Yeah.
Okay, so there used to be a day off of school. I guess banks do still close.
Actually, yeah, I had a friend who didn't work on Monday.
Yeah.
In Massachusetts, and I was like, wait a second. So
like we still
so the side of the country that he shit on still celebrates his day, and the other side, like.
Well, what's funny to me about that? Now, I don't have a problem with people going, hey, this is why we don't want to celebrate the murder of innocent people. Sure, like I'm not arguing that you're correct. I just think it's funny how we pick and choose those things, because it's like, we still do that now.
Yeah.
Like we're still like, I don't know if you've ever been to an Indian reservation, but they don't really get the best treatment there. Like the land that we've given them isn't exactly awesome. And I don't see a lot of people cutting out portions of land to give them extra stuff. We seem to have a pretty good relationship with England, with Britain. And I'm pretty sure they spent hundreds of years just going around raping and pillaging everybody, but we don't hear them constantly apologizing for it on a regular basis, do we?
There was a speaking of this is a whole other can of worms, but last week tonight, John Oliver just did a segment on the Confederacy.
Okay.
And how like all the statues and all of that and the flag and how like the South still there what was kind of eye-opening to me is that a lot of their families like there was a guy who spoke at a town hall about a statue being taken down.
Okay.
And he was protesting against it being taken down. But because his great-great-grandfather was a Confederate soldier. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, I understand, like, you don't want to, like, just cut off your family history, but at the same time, you're conflicted because of what they were fighting for. But so you have people who are, like, in denial about the Confederacy fighting primarily to keep slavery. And they're like, no, they were, their defense was they were fighting over states' rights.
Yeah. Well,
it's true, but it's like,
yeah,
it's the states' rights they were fighting over were slavery. Yeah. Like, it's like, you can only sugarcoat that so much.
It's like, you're not wrong, but you may be an asshole.
Yeah. No, but that's the thing. So I like started feeling bad from like, what do you do? Like, if you find out your great-great-grandfather was like a slave owner, like that's awful. Like, how do you
well, okay, so
but then so I was like starting to feeling bad for him, but then he said something along the lines of like, we need to represent like white people's, we can't just focus on black people's history, we got to focus on white people's history, and like we got to have like White History Month or something like along those lines. So then I started just going like, well, I started to agree with you, man. What are you doing? So it's like it's the same kind of thing, except like half the country at one time was Harvey Weinstein, like supporting. Like, it's like what does that half of the country do when it turns out that they lost and like it was because they owned slaves?
Yeah. Well, so it's funny that you mentioned that because there was
and then John Oliver said something about Britain, like my country isn't any better. Like,
well, that's the thing is that do we have like you just said, how would you feel if you found out your great-great-grandfather owned slaves?
I don't know.
People get really like fucking worked up about it. Like I remember there was a fucking like Where's Your Family thing. It's on National Geographic or the History Channel or something, and Ben Affleck was part of it.
Yeah, they were showing clips of what's that show where celebrities find out they're
it's the Ancestry show. I can't think of the fucking name of it.
Yeah.
Who Are You or Who Are You Really or some shit like that.
Whatever.
Yeah,
and they showed a clip of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Larry David.
Found out that his with. Just, I gotta paint the picture.
Okay.
With a black guy, with a black interviewer showing him.
Yeah.
Like,
I know who the guy is. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. So he's like sitting there, and then Larry David turns the page, and it's like showing a slave plantation. And then Larry David just sits at it, looks at it, and it's like, oh no, man, oh no. Like, I think I think my immediate reaction would be like, oh, that sucks. But then I would like, over time, I'd be like, well, I mean, that's just what it is. Like, I can't do anything about it.
So Ben Affleck, like, they did that, and they found out he had like a family member, and he like worked his ass off to cut that from the show. Like,
Really?
if I remember right, if I read correctly, he actually convinced them, even though they had other people who had slave owners in the past.
Yeah.
He convinced them to cut that and then do a different person in his family. And I thought to myself, I'm like, okay, would it suck to know that your family somewhere back was part of oppression of other people? Absolutely. But how the fuck is that your fault / responsibility?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If your dad's a drunk, alcoholic piece of shit, is that your fault?
Unless
like, what the fuck?
Unless your family still owns the plantation,
right?
And they have you have black people working minimum wage for you or something.
Yeah,
then that's shitty. But
unless you're the type of person that hears that and go, well, fuck, man, I didn't catch any of that. Then it's like, holy shit, you're a piece of shit. But it's like, how much apology does somebody have to give for something horrible that their family did hundreds of years ago? Like, I think there's got to be some sort of a line where you go, you know what? That's part.
Just be a decent person.
Yeah.
And then you're shitting on their legacy. If you live your life
better,
treating everyone decently and equally and just being a good human being, then you're saying to your ancestors, fuck you, I don't like the way you treated humanity.
Yeah.
I'm going to treat them better.
Exactly. You show, hey, this is the growth that we've seen as a people. And if we
Right.
can't, like, I understand that not everything's happening as fast as everybody wants it to. Like, everybody just wants us to wake up one morning and there's just no racism, right? And there's just peace and no sexism. That's never going to fucking happen, ever.
Yeah.
So we need to start appreciating the small steps that we take.
Yeah.
And if you look at it and you go, hey, 50 years ago, somebody in my family probably would not have been okay with black people in our schools.
Yeah.
You know, hey, somebody in my family may have blah, 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 blah. To go, you know what? That's not even something that crossed my mind. Like, that's not, I don't, like, I can't even imagine being weirded out by my kid not, like I can't imagine looking at my daughter's friends and being like, oh, you have a black friend? Like, I can't even imagine that being a thought. Like,
it's like psychological natural selection.
Yeah.
Like, over time, we're like, as a race, as like, I mean, the human race.
Yeah.
Not white people.
Us whites. Jesus.
No, as a human race, because not just white people are
Yeah.
racist. Every race is racist.
Everybody, yeah.
It's many races are arguably more racist than white people.
Well, the funny part to me is when you find the races that are more racist against their own race than they are against other races.
Yeah.
That's the part that I'm like, wait, you hate that person? They're from where you're from. They're not where I'm from. They're from like a country or a city 200 miles away.
Right.
Fuck, right.
We'll get into
Jesus.
that. But like the human race as like a whole,
Yeah.
like is like saying like by natural selection, we're gonna say we don't want racism to happen in our future. We're choosing to not be racist now.
Yeah.
We're not anymore. Like that's the
It's a
majority.
small step too.
Yeah.
It's a step.
Of the majority of civilized society
Yeah.
now. So like, but then like what you were talking about, like I was listening to Kumail Nanjiani on Harmontown, and he was talking about how like there's either a part of Pakistan or a place nearby that, like you said, it's like a city that like was cut off from them like thousands of years ago, but for thousands of years since, they have like shit on them, gotten in like civil wars, and like it's like, yeah.
Well, I mean, look at Israel
parts.
and Pakistan or Palestine.
Yeah,
I mean, they literally are in the same like 200-mile radius.
Every country in the Middle East has an equivalent of that. Like, there's some little part of them that got cut off, and it's like.
But could you imagine looking at Oregonians and being like, "Oh, you guys are all just worthless pieces of shit"?
Like there's just like a sliver of Oregon.
Yeah,
we're just like, fuck you. Like,
well, Portland, but.
Like
hipsters
hipsters are gonna be the new like.
No, but so it's really funny that this is the conversation we're having, because one of the other things that popped
went
up,
a weird direction.
it tends to do that though.
Yeah, it does.
Was I was reading a book about there's a school district in the South that's removing To Kill a Mockingbird from their 8th grade social syllabus or their books apparently because of the person who's treated badly because of their race in the book.
Yeah.
They don't want to be associated with that anymore, so they're pulling the book from reading. Now, I don't understand, like, if they said the words, I'm not even kidding, where we no longer want this to be part of the assigned reading because it makes some people uncomfortable. Now, I don't know about you, but I thought that's just what art was. Like, art as a whole tends to work really well for some people and make some people uncomfortable.
And being uncomfortable is something to feel.
Now, if you want to look at it and say, if you're a black person and you say, hey, this book, people being treated poorly because of the color of skin is a sad thing. I don't want to read about that. It's real enough in my real life. Okay. If you're a white person, you say, hey, I don't want to read about this because it paints people where I'm from a certain way, and I'm not that way. Okay.
Yeah.
But neither one of those
different.
to me, neither one of those to me means, hey, this isn't something we should read, because those are facts. Those are fucking, like, I know the book's fiction, but those things really took place at that point in time. That's how things worked. And some people argue that that's still the way that things work. So to go, you know what? I don't want to read that because it makes me uncomfortable. I read Why the Caged Bird Sings in high school. Do you remember that book? The Maya Angelou book?
Is that a book or a poem?
It's a book.
Oh.
So I think that's the name of it. But I remember in that book, and I was like 9th grade, and the girl gets like molested by her uncle in the book.
Oh.
And like, that's, to me, that's some like, holy shit, right? And you're like, whoa, like, and they were like, and if I remember, my teacher was like, if you don't want to read chapter 9 or whatever, you don't have to. But of course, when you tell a fucking 14-year-old that, they're gonna read chapter 9, and I remember being like, holy shit, this is some fucking like.
Well, there's a difference between feeling uncomfortable because the child isn't like emotionally developed to understand it, and like feeling uncomfortable because it's just. But to say
that, hey, Maya Angelou, who's one of our like national treasures for what she does. To say we're no longer going to have that be part of the reading because some person was uncomfortable with it. Like, it's so fucking weird. And even at that level, which is that's a physical discomfort. It's not like a social discomfort. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're going, hey, this is something sexual that, like you said, you may not be mentally or, mature enough to understand or even respect. You might read it and giggle if you're an immature kid.
Right.
You shouldn't. I definitely did not.
Right.
But with this stuff, it's like, hey, these are important things that happened in human history. People were treated this way. And if it starts a conversation, that's an important conversation to have.
Yeah.
And if you live in the South, you need to understand that these type of things were a prevalent issue in the South. Just like if you live in Germany, you can't just pretend that Nazism never happened.
Well, yeah,
it doesn't work that way.
They teach the Holocaust in their schools, like on purpose.
Yeah.
Like they make sure people understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the fact that we might like censor stuff like that just because it makes people uncomfortable makes me uncomfortable.
Right.
That's not
It's true.
Yeah, it's not the way it should be.
No,
we should understand it and learn how to learn from it.
Yeah, and I understand if you go, hey, you know what? It's an optional book. If you're uncomfortable with it and your son doesn't want to read it, we'll give you an alternate book. Sure. Mm-hmm. But the day we start going, hey, we're not going to read this because of this, and we're not going to read this because of this, and we're starting down a fucking really weird road of.
Yeah.
It's censorship. You're basically censoring certain things.
Yeah.
Now I understand if you're in a public school, you
it's
may
like
have
1984.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. And the thing that's really funny to me is it's the same type of parents that are like, oh, I don't want my kids to read about this because it's got sexual content in it. But then the kid goes home at 7, 8 years old and plays Call of Duty and shoots people in the face. It's like, what? Like,
yeah. That's like it's so prevalent that it's like a trope. It's like a cliche now that America doesn't care about
the violence is no problem, but boobies. It's like, whoa, holy shit, there's a nipple.
Well, it's because like I don't know. I'm not even gonna go into that. But yeah, like bottom line is just like it's like picking and choosing is like it's a cheap way out. It's like a cop out. It's like if you like the Ben Affleck thing, like if you just like choose to like just erase that your family was involved in that, it's like, or if we're just gonna like burn all Dr. Seuss books and just pretend like it didn't happen, or like that. I don't want to live in a world where that's.
Wasn't there a certain group of people that burned a bunch of books because they didn't like what they said in them?
Yeah, somewhere in Eastern Europe. I don't know.
let's slow the roll. Fuck.
Thank you for listening to episode 29 of the Unreasonably Angry podcast. If you like what you heard, or if we made you angry or offended you, or if you want to censor our podcast from the internet, then let us know. You can rate and review our podcast on iTunes or Facebook. We want to hear what you think.
If you have any questions, comments, thoughts, concerns, you can email us at unreasonablyangrypodcast@gmail.com, or you can hit us up on Twitter and Facebook. You can let us know what your favorite Dr. Seuss book is. And until next time, my name is Eric.
And I'm Gary.
Stay angry, fuckers.